And welcome to the Striped Onion Show, where we peel them back good. And now to our host, the man with the plan, Sergeant Peel.
Man, I love that intro. We got such a great team here at the SOS Show, the Striped Onion Show. I am Sergeant Peel, but guess what? You're listening to the show. You're now one of my friends. My friends call me Sarge. From here on out, I'm Sarge. There you go. This is going to be awesome. I'm so excited for this. This is really going to be a unique experience. And we put together a really good team, a really great team, if I will, in our hopes that we reach as many people as we can. The show is all about helping our fellow first responders and their families. And my intent with this is to compile a series of shows over the coming months and years that has a specific focus about mental and physical health in and around the first responder community. So if you will, please take a quick minute and share this show across all of your social media platforms that will allow it. Also, make sure you follow our show, YouTube page, the Facebook page, Instagram pages, the Striped Onion Show or the SOS Show. You're going to get the future announcements and the events that we will either do or support in the future. You can also subscribe to our email notifications through our website, thesosshow.com, so that you can get our notifications about the shows. But to follow, y'all know that means you actually have to hit the like or subscribe buttons or whatever it is for that platform, depending on what we put out. And you guys have to help us get the word out by actually sharing it to your pages, because that's how this works. Some of these shows and these topics and these stories may not be what you want to hear, but let me be honest, it is something that someone needs to hear. So take a minute, do that for us. We want to make this show impactful, and that's how you can help. So this show's been a brainchild of mine for the past, year or so. And with the help of some very special people to me, people in my life, I finally figured out the who, what, when, where, and why, and how to make this show a reality. So here we go, the nuts and bolts of the Striped Onion Show. Why a striped onion? Well, this is sort of simple. I knew what the material needed to be, but not the name. For months, I threw around some stuff in my head and with my circle of supporters just to try to see what fits. Then on the way to a short vacation that I took this past summer, it hit me. Onion. Peel the onion. That's it. Boom. There we go. I threw some variations out there because you can't just call the show Onion because it just sounds weird. And if I'm trying to appeal to my first responder friends, I got to come up with something a little bit better than that. And then I thought, actually, not just thought, but saw when I was skimming through one of my social media pages, the old glory, the old American flag, but the one that's been recolored with all the stripes of our first responders. So it hit me. Striped Onion Show. There it is. I mean, think about it also. What's the acronym? SOS. This is a sign of help. So this show is about the help. This is about our first responders. There we go. Perfect for what we're going to do. All right, so now you're asking about why stripe. I told you. That flag, it's pretty simple. You've seen the one, or you possibly have seen the one that's the American flag that's recolored to have the stripe to the professions of our first responder communities. So I'm going to break that down for you. It's called the thin line mentality. It's pretty well known if you're a first responder, and each first responder entity has a specific color that represents them. You'll see what I'm talking about if you look at our logo on our website or on our social media pages. You'll see the flag that the Sarge is carrying. The colors of the stripes on the flag are like this. You see, you have the thin blue line, which represents our law enforcement first responders. Then there's the thin red line right below it that represents our fire service. Then you got the thin yellow line. Sometimes they call it the gold line, because that's our 911 telecommunicators. You've got a thin white line underneath that. That represents EMS. I've also seen some of my local friends represent that line with orange or purple, but for the show and for the standards that we see, it's going to be white. The thin gray line, sometimes called the silver line, represents our correctional officers. And last but certainly not least, the thin green line is for the members of our nation's fine military. You know, we have a lot of first responders out there that are active or even retired military, where a lot of the content from our shows will help them and their families as well. Why a striped onion? Well, actually, that was sort of simple. I knew what the material needed to be, but not the name. For months, I threw around some stuff in my head, and even with my circle of supporters, and trying to figure out what fits, see what fits. It just wasn't adding up. Well, on the way to a short vacation this summer, it hit me. Onion. Peel the onion. And I threw some variations out there and ultimately landed on the striped onion show. I mean, think about it. SOS. Which leads me up to why I launched it today. Today is 9/11. If there is not a better day to launch a show about mental health with first responders, that is today, 9/11. Take a minute, send a thank you text, or tag them on their social media pages, and just tell your cop friends, your firefighting friends, your paramedics, your 911 telecommunicators, your corrections buddies, even your military guys and gals, tell them how much you appreciate them and love them and thank them. So now you may be thinking, why striped onion and not the thin line onion? No reason other than it sounded weird to me. Plus, SOS, striped onion show, it's way cooler. It hits home to what we're trying to accomplish. So there you go. This show isn't just for first responders, though. It's also for first responder supporters as well. It's for anyone who is a first responder, anyone who cares for a first responder, anyone who is friends with a first responder. I mean, anyone who just knows a first responder. It's in that category. We as first responders take too much baggage home with us, and it's damn time that we make things better for each other. And to do that, we're going to peel the onion. We're going to pull these layers back on these shows and expose, explore, whatever you want to call it, simple truths about our lives in and out of our jobs. I mean, the stressors don't stop once we get home and we get the uniforms off, right? We have to open these layers up a little bit, talk about it a little bit, let some of our loved ones into our worlds that we really live. If we do this, we might actually change some of the nasty stigmas that go with our jobs. So why Sergeant Peel? Well, I put it this way. Sergeant Peel sounds like a pretty cool guy who may or may not know a thing or two about peeling the onion on the show. That's pretty good stuff. This is going to be a good time. Like I said before, y'all are my new friends, so please call me Sarge. I will tell you a little about me, though. I am Sarge on the show. However, this year, my real life, my real career, I'm celebrating my 28th year as a volunteer firefighter and my 20th year as a law enforcement officer. And yes, I said celebrating. I had points in my career where it was a roller coaster. In my late teens and early 20s, I worked for 5 years in the 911 telecommunications center while I went to college. I transitioned into law enforcement, ultimately my paid career, and what I would consider a pretty successful one. And like I said, it took me on a roller coaster ride, and I had a lot of highs with my job, but there were also several lows. Mix that in with my involvement with the local volunteer fire department, and you have someone who continuously filled up their cup and didn't take the time to pour it out. Some of those lows culminated in a very short amount of time and resulted in my diagnosis with PTSD. That's pretty much when my cup overflowed, if you will. It took a breaking point and a fellow peer and a very strong family to recognize some issues to steer me back on the tracks and pave the path for me to get treatment. I said that fellow peer. I call that peer old buddy. And there's many people that know who I'm talking about when I say these words here. A lot of them call him grandpa. But he's a true friend. He's a retired cop, been in the business for a long time, lots of experience in the field, and knew exactly what he was looking at with me and my wife. And I tell you about my wife. I told you strong family. My wife, she's still with me today. She's still putting up with me today, but she's a police officer also. In fact, she's a firefighter as well. Unfortunately for her, she experienced my traumas two ways. A little bit as the first responder that she is and the jobs that she does, but more so as the wife of a first responder who literally put her through hell when I went through my events. Did you catch that? I just spoke about one of the stigmas on this shows that we will hit on. Treatment. Oh no, I said it again. Treatment. Am I going to be banned for saying that word on here? Of course not. I mean, at times it seems like that is one taboo word in our culture. Even though I'm getting off topic for a brief second, one thing each and every one of us must know is that we are human beings and we are subject to each and every stress issue and reaction just like every other person in society. We are subject to the same issues like those other humans. We need to stop pushing it down, stop letting it destroy our careers and families, and get treatment, whatever that is. My treatment consisted of some marriage counseling, some personal counseling, and a law enforcement seminar called the Post-Critical Incident Seminar. Don't worry, these topics are going to be discussed in future shows, so you can definitely learn more about that later. I guarantee it. Now to get back on topic, once I got that treatment, actually once we got that treatment because of what my pain caused to my family, I sought to get the training and pay it forward to my fellow peers the same way that my old buddy did for me. And that roller coaster ride, the CISM ride, if you will, has been going strong for the past 12 years of my life. The great part of this whole ride is that I have been able to join a team of strong people from around the nation who help other people get through the worst parts of their lives. Like many of them, I have a story too, and it's a long one. But I'm going to sum it up like this. I have been involved in many incidents and accidents where lives were lost. I have seen children, the happiest people in the world, abused and killed. Abuse from loved ones to wrecks and accidents that have taken their young lives. I have seen the hatred and mistreatment of loved ones on one another. I've been involved in 2 officer-involved shootings. I've been shot at 3 times and have seen 4 of my fellow lawmen and women die in the line of duty feloniously. If I haven't hit a nerve yet, well, I'm about to. I've had to experience 2 of my fellow officers commit suicide, and I have had to experience 2 EMTs from our local EMS unit commit suicide. Suicide, another stigma that we will talk about here. If you think there is a return to the profession after facing those beasts, then stay tuned. I have several shows in the future with survivors from stuff just like this. To continue, I have been hurt and injured on the job, but I have also had to hurt people on the job. I have witnessed friends suffer through alcoholism and other dependencies, some only to lose their jobs and livelihoods as a result. The great part of this story is that I have also been able to help first responders come out of the trenches and survive. I am not here to ask for a pat on the back or recognition. I am here to push out another way to help our fellow man and woman around the badges and patches we wear. I am a human who found a good path this way or that way, but also made some mistakes on some of those other paths. And I'm here to tell these stories with people just like me that were involved in them. There will be some laughter and some camaraderie in this show, but there will also be some heartache and pain. But together, I'm sure that we can take something that we hear on this show, learn from it, and pay it forward to a first responder for the better. So allow me to tell you the secret to the show. I'm not doing this alone. You've heard me hint around about the future shows. You've heard me say that I'm going to tell some stories. Well, that's not totally the case. You see, through the years, I told you earlier, I have met some pretty awesome folks from all around the country. Actually, I've met them from around the world at this point. I've met people from Canada and from Europe and Mexico. We've met some pretty cool people. I'll have many of them on this show because, like me, their story can help someone somehow. Trust me, I have seen this work many times through the years with hundreds of first responders and their spouses at those PCIS seminars I was telling you about. My intent is to bring the stories from people from all walks of life in the first responder world. You may hear from a preacher on one show, and then the very next show may be someone who is considered the unchurched. We may go from having someone with a filter to someone that does not know what the word filter means. Nothing is off the table here. I want to bring the stories to the forefront and give our listeners good information on real events. These things have happened all around our country to these first responders, to my friends in the first responder world, but some of these stories might even have come from Europe and Canada. I told you I know a few of them, and they're probably going to be on the show. Don't be surprised. No matter what, we will take these stories and we will learn from them. We will use them to make our lives better. Now more than ever, we need to take care of each other. So I'm going to ask you one more time, please take a minute to share this show across all of the social media platforms that will allow it. Also, make sure to follow the SOS Shows and Striped Onion Show YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram pages for the announcements and events that we will either do or that we'll support in the future. You can also subscribe to our email notifications through our website, thesosshow.com, so that you will get notified about our shows. You can also research old shows on our website. Remember, to follow means you actually have to hit the like or subscribe buttons, depending on the social media platform, and you got to help us get the word out there by sharing it to your respective pages. Like I said earlier, these shows, these topics, these stories may not be what you want to hear, and some of it will be, but it is something that someone needs to hear. So please take a minute, do that for us, help us make this show impactful. For those listening who think they can be of assistance, whether you are listening to this in 2020 or 5 or 10 years from now, please do not hesitate to reach out to me for anything. Whether you have a story that needs to be told, topic suggestions, or even to express your thoughts and concerns. I truly have a mission to make sure that the onion gets peeled. I hope everyone has a great day and week. And until next time, this is the Sarge signing off. God bless and take care.